We thank God once again for the opportunity to be coming your way this time. The song that we just listened to is Nyamimre, beautiful single by Minister Fabia. She has other beautiful songs online. Please check her out. And we want to say thank you once again that you make time to join us on Time with George and Joyce. Unfortunately, we're not able to come as planned 2 weeks ago because of a mishap, but all the same, God has made way for us to be um, on your way this evening, this afternoon. And we want to say thank you so much for taking time to join us. We don't take it lightly, the time investment you make in us. I also want to say thank you to my producer this evening, Asaf Mohammed Esla. God bless you so much. I also want to say thank you to my family, my wife, and all my children for all the support that they give us. And last but not the least, of course, the operators of FBN for the opportunity that they have given us. We take it not for granted. Last time we were here, we started by discussing communication. We say that communication is very important, and it is one thing that you cannot take out if you want to have a successful marriage. Last time we were here, we made to understand that it is important that you communicate about everything with regards to family. It will make life easy for you as a couple, and you will enjoy your marriage if you put in the effort to communicate. We also made us to understand that you can miscommunicate, and so you should be clear when you want to communicate. We said that miscommunication can also lead us having a lot of problems, just like not communicating. And so, when we need to communicate, it is important that we communicate clearly so your partner or the person you're speaking or communicating with will understand whatever it is that you are thinking. We want to continue today by discussing social communication. Of course, it will border on other areas of communication, but most of the examples that we'll be citing will be social communication in the area of sexuality in marriage. One thing for sure is that in as much as we intend to communicate, it is important as partners that we also develop the skill of communication. Now, that is why in the corporate world, whenever there is a decision made and it needs to go public, they have a department who have been trained to be able to convey the thoughts and the plan of the company to the world or to the supposed recipients of their thoughts. The reason is that if just anybody is given a mandate to come and convey the thoughts and the plan of the company, they may not be able to communicate rightly or they may miscommunicate. And so they give the mandate to the right people with the right requisite skill to be able to communicate their plans. I will want to, before we continue, encourage each one and every one of you joining us this evening to please share the link. Please share the link because I believe the information that we're going to share this evening may save somebody's marriage. One of the things that I've come to realize is that we invest so much in a lot of things that are not so crucial to the success of marriages, like what the perception of people about us as a couple. We always want to portray success, but then the real act and the duty that we need to fulfill, we are not able to do it. And one of the things is the reason is that we don't acquire the requisite information, the requisite skill to be able to help us achieve our aim. And so please share the link, let somebody get to know that we are discussing, as simple as it may sound. I believe by the end of this broadcast, if you join us, you realize that you may have taken some things for granted, and you may get a tool to work with in making your marriage a success. Like I always say, a good marriage is not a product, it's not a gift, but then it's a product of the contributions of all the persons involved: man, wife, God. Coming back to communication, we're saying that it is important that even as we take note for granted the role of communication in marriage, it is important that we acquire the skill to be able to communicate rightly. Many a time, we intend to do the right thing by not keeping quiet, not staying silent on a lot of things. We try to communicate, and yet, because we don't know how to do it, or we don't go about it the right way, we end up making situations that are not so good worse. We make it messy. Reason is that we don't do the right thing. And so it is important that we acquire the skill in communication. I'll start by saying that many loving couples never talk about sex together. It will amaze you that there are people that are genuinely in love. There are people that are genuinely good to each other. They intend to do everything within their reach to make their marriage successful. And they tend to forget that in communication, one of the areas that they need to also discuss is sexual activity in the marriage needs to be discussed, and we need to understand that effective communication is at the heart of falling deeper in love and creating a truly passionate marriage. Effective communication. And so you can communicate, but if it is not effective, you may not yield the right results. And so it's important that in our quest to do everything right, in our quest not to keep silence in marriages, in our quest to communicate, we need to make sure that we are having effective communication. I cited an example of when I was young, and I used to join the total where a man who used to sell local medicine cited a story where a man was furious and won't say a word to the wife, and will give the home or housekeeping money and place it in a bowl. And if he intended to eat light soap, he would just put garden eggs and into the bowl plus the money. And if he intended to eat palm nut soup, he would put a palm nuts plus the money in a bowl. And if he intended to eat granuts, he would put peanuts and the money in the bowl. On a fateful day, when he placed the money and the peanuts in the bowl, a cockroach passing by saw the granuts and intending to go and feast on the peanuts. The wife came to find money, peanuts, and cockroach in the bowl. So she assumed that the man wanted to eat cockroach, peanut soup. The man came back to find cockroach, peanut soup. He communicated all right, but it was not the right means of communication. And so it ended in disaster. And so, even as we intend to communicate, even as we know that we need to discuss sexual activity in the bedroom and all those things, we need to acquire the necessary skill that will make our communication effective. And we are saying that effective communication is at the heart of falling deeper in love and creating truly passionate marriage. The truth of the matter is that sexual discussions are indeed difficult, as they can get to constructive criticisms, or they can also get to problem solving with no easy answers, or they can get to very private feelings. And so many a time, people tend to stay away from discussing it because they get to be afraid that I may be criticized, though constructively, or we may not be able to solve problems with easy answers, or feelings may be affected. And so it can be messy for people, for example, who wants to have, or who wants to be perfect lovers. Or it can also be messy for people who assumed that sex will automatically fall in place. Because there are people who will fall in love, get married, and assume that we are going to have beautiful sexual life. And so it becomes messy for people like that. Now, one thing that it's very important for me, very crucial in having effective communication is the parties involved, and this time not adding God, man and wife, having empathy. That is so crucial. Now, you can't go into a dialogue with your partner with the mindset of winning, with a mindset of convincing, or with a mindset of debating. You should go into a dialogue, you should go into discussion with the mindset of being ready to hear and acknowledge. Now, if there is the need for you to communicate and discuss a problem, and you go in the discussion or the meeting, or you start the conversation or dialogue with the mindset of winning or debating or convincing, there's a tendency of you not even hearing what your partner intends to say or says. And so you need to go into the communication, and as couples, you should have it in mind that it is important, it's so crucial that I go into the discussion, or we start the communication with empathy, where I am ready to hear and acknowledge your realities, and you doing same with me. Now, the mere fact that you are hearing and acknowledging what your partner is saying doesn't necessarily mean that you are agreeing. But it is important that you at least listen. And I know for a lot of people, the reason why their communication is not effective is that both of them will be speaking at the same time and none is ready to listen to the other, and so it ends up in a fight, it ends up in an argument, and instead of going into the discussion or a conversation to have a solution for a problem that is existing, they end up having other problems being developed out of the intention of solving a problem. So go into the conversation with empathy. Understand that it doesn't matter what you think of the situation. Your partner also has a say. Your partner intends to say something. Your partner has a feeling about your problem as a couple and would also want to talk. Would also want to express his or her realities. What is your reality may necessarily not be his or her reality. And so you should understand that he or she would also come with a reality, but you should be ready to hear and acknowledge it. You should be ready to hear and acknowledge it. It is not agreeing, but rather having acknowledgement for it. Now, there are three skills for great communication. There are three skills for great communication. A crucial part of communication is where you start with a mindset not to win. I've said it already, debate or convince or make a point. You create a dialogue with the aim of exchanging information. That is one thing that you need to know. That you go into a dialogue just to exchange information so that the information will be dissected by both of you. And at the end of the day, the best is chosen. I said that there are three skills. Initially, we said that it's important that we go into communication with some amount of skills. The reason is that if you don't go um, to the communication with the right and appropriate skills, you may be doing the right thing, but wrong way. One of the things is that it is important that you start with I statements that take responsibility without blaming. Okay. And so instead of you saying, you turn me off, but I feel my desire shut down when you grab at me. Instead of saying, you turn me off, you can say that I feel my desire shut down when you grab at me. And so you automatically turn the whole thing to you acknowledging something instead of accusing. And so it is important that you start with I statements. The second thing is express understanding of your partner's message. Express understanding of your partner's message. That's why we say that it's important that you go into a conversation and dialogue with the mindset of hearing and listening and acknowledging. Now, if you're not ready to hear, how would you even understand? How would you even understand? And so express understanding of your partner's message. Go beyond the surface to contain, acknowledge the deeper feelings and needs. Now, men will have to understand that the women will continue to talk, and we would put it that they are nagging, and they will repeat similar things if we don't even acknowledge an understanding of what they are saying. She'll repeat herself until her reality is acknowledged. And the third thing that you need to employ is tenderly negotiate a partner's reality. Create tentative solution. The purpose of dialogue is to exchange information and to mutually meet needs and resolve differences, not to win or prove a point. Which means at the end of the day, you may reach a compromise. Just 20% of your reality may be agreed upon by you both. Now, if you go into a discussion with a mindset of winning, and the mindset of winning an argument, you end up probably developing other problems. But like I said, go in there ready to exchange information. And there are times you need to reach a compromise. Sometimes, after you've discussed for a whole period, maybe just 20% of your realities, when I say reality, is what you think should be done, what your suggestions are. At times, you should be ready to just accept that of your partner. And maybe in your resolution, just 20% of your realities may be agreed upon by both of you. It's important that before you even go into the discussion, you have that kind of mindset. Now, it's important that in your solutions, neither of you should lose your deeper values. Neither of you should lose your soul. Now, let me I want to say that it's important that you share the link. You share the link, please share the link. If you're on, please invite somebody, and let's have this whole thing both interactive. We want to really keep this whole thing interactive. Whilst we go on, if you intend to ask any question, please, you can type it below, and we trust that we'll be able to answer the questions. And if you have any contribution, you can also send it through. We have Asamame Esla watching, and she's saying that God bless you too, Pastor George and Pastor Joyce. Yeah, please share the link. Please share the link. Now, in your solutions, neither of you should lose your deeper values. Neither of you should lose your soul. What I mean is that love is kind, love is patient, love is protective, as recorded in First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. Now, what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? Now, as recorded in Matthew chapter 6, verse 26. Now, let me paraphrase and say that what does it profit a man, a mate, to gain his or her own way if a partner loses her or his soul? Now, let me cite an example. Now, for example, if as a man you some of the things that you assume will be spicy, that will spice up your marriage or your love making, as you putting cameras in your bedroom and recording, and your wife says that it will make me lose my self-respect and self-dignity, and you still will force it on her. At the end of the day, you are making her lose her deeper values, and she's losing her soul. And so what will be the sense in you having your way, making your fantasies come to reality, and yet your partner is losing her core value? Now, the man that will say that this is what I thought will make me happy, and of course as happy I thought, but if it will affect you and you will lose your deeper values, then I won't force it on you. That man becomes a wise person. And so in your resolutions and your solutions, it's important that at the end of the day, none of you will lose your deeper value. I just wanted to say this before I continue. Now, the question is, what if you've never had a productive communication? What if you've never had any productive communication? Or there are things that we need to do, there are things that we need to notice to be able to at least have effective communication or productive communication. One of the things is that you stick to the topic. For many couples, for a lot of people that we counsel with, the reasons why they are not able to get through, never discuss when there is a problem, generally not related to just the bedroom, when there's a problem in the marriage and they want to deal with it. Whilst they are talking about a particular problem, this the husband will bring two other topics to come in and want to relate it to it, and the lady will also bring something that happened about 15 years ago and want to come and bring it in, and instead of having just a topic to discuss, they will have 20 topics to discuss. At the end of the day, they will not be able to have any solution. It's important that we go into discussions, communication, with the mindset of dealing with a problem, and make sure that we deal with a problem. Stick to the topic. There are times you'll be tempted to bring other things that happened. There are times that you'll be tempted to bring other topics. But it's important that if you intend to have the communication be productive, it's important that it doesn't matter the age you have to bring other things, to bring other topics, to bring other subjects. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the age. Make sure that you stick to the topic. Stick to the topic. When your mate is trying to bring in other things to talk about, just just remind him or her to stick to the topic. Remind yourself that you can only have a productive communication when you don't have too many things to discuss. It's like going for a cabinet meeting and you want to solve the problem of a country, for example, Ghana, and they go for cabinet meeting and they want to solve the problems of the whole Ghana within the 4 hours or the 6 hours or maybe 10 hours that they have a sitting, and they will bring every problem that Ghana is facing to the cabinet meeting to be discussed that particular day. I mean, it's highly impossible. In the same way, it doesn't matter as small as the topics may be, or not that scary. Now, if you put all of them together, you may I use may because you never know. But then chances are that you may not be able to have a productive resolution or solution coming out of it. And so stick to that topic. Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic. Now, pick your battles and develop timing. Pick your battles and develop timing. I use the word battle not with the mindset of arguing or fighting, but then the things that you want to talk about, the things that you want to discuss, the things that you want to communicate about, you should pick them well. Pick them well. And also develop your timing. Don't sit on your feelings, but avoid times when you are extremely hungry, angry, and tired. Pick what you want to talk about. Now, it doesn't matter how sensitive it is. If it needs to be discussed, it will have to be discussed. But then choose the times where you want to discuss particular issues. Choose the times where you want to discuss particular issues. And even for you, it's important that you don't discuss issues when you are hungry, when you are angry, and when you are very tired. When you are tired, your mind is tired, you will not be able to think through even what you want to say. And so you may end up saying stuff you would regret later. When you are angry, of course, there are things that you don't even have to be furious about because you're already angry. You end up spilling things, words that you may not be able to swallow them again. And once they leave your mouth, it creates a lot of disaster. And when you are hungry, it's same way. Hunger and anger move hand in hand. And so choose the battles, the things that you want to discuss, choose them wisely and choose the timing you want to discuss those things. And I want to repeat, not when you have hunger, not when you are angry, and when not you are very tired. Um, it is said that from midnight to 3 a.m. are very unproductive times. And so I would suggest that in as much as people, especially have had time without number, that when you want to, especially the women those days, my mom will say that when you really want to discuss with your husband, wait at noon, you wake him up and you discuss. I think it may work for a couple of people, but it's important that you know your spouse and know the times that will work best for him. For example, I close from work most of the times after 2 a.m. Gets to the house roughly by 3. Maybe do one or two things, read a bit, of course, pray a bit. And before I get to the bedroom, it will be close to 5 a.m. sometimes. And so if you are telling me you're going to wake me at dawn, you're not going to be productive. I'm too tired to even discuss anything. And so choose the timing right. I see I see my one and only Akonta, Reverend Edward Ajaman, join in. Rev, God bless you so much. We thank God for Jenny Mercies. I assume that you've already landed in the UK. God bless you. We pray that the grace of God will keep you through for all the assignments that has been lined up for you. Thank you for joining in. I really, really appreciate it. All right. So we say that stick to your topic, and we are saying that pick your battles and develop your timing. One of the things that we need to also look at is set limits. Set limits. Before you even go into the whole communication thing, before you go into the dialogue, you should know when to stop. You should know when to stop. Now, you and your mate should know when conflict has become counterproductive or is escalating out of control. Stop right then. When you realize that the volume of your voice is going up, it is a sign that you may lose control of yourself. And so stop there. The reason why you go into communication is that you will iron out differences, share information, and make sure that whatever it is that is a problem that you need to solve is solved. It is not good that in your quest to correct yourselves as a couple, you end up creating problems. And so set limits. Set limits. There are some areas when you are going, you know that it becomes so slippery, you may fall and you may not be able to get on the ground again. And so it's important that as soon as you realize that we may slip into darker waters, you stop. Both of you should set limits. And I said in choosing your battles and your timing, I say that midnight to 3 a.m. is seldom a productive time. I mean, tell yourself that because of your schedule, because of my schedule, we can't discuss important matters around this time. And so this is a limit. We will not go beyond it. It doesn't matter how difficult the situation is. During this time, we will not do anything. The reason is that we may fall into some deeper waters that will in turn hate us. Instead of being productive, it will become counterproductive. And so set limits. Now, it's important that you remain courteous. Now, it's as couples, I believe that just as the Bible acknowledges, admonishes us that the woman should honor, the man should love, and I believe the love stems out of honor and the honor stems out of love. I believe that respect, it's laced in through the love and the honor. Respect is laced in through it, and so and in discussing and communicating, it's important that you remain courteous. Remain courteous. There shouldn't be it shouldn't get to the point where you disrespect each other, where you call each other names, where you insult. The reason is that there are things that it comes out of your mouth, it will always haunt you. It is good that we forgive ourselves. I think one of the days I said that marriage is made up of two people who are ready to forgive each other. right? And so you may fall into some of these things where you'll be required to forgive yourselves. Of course, when you forgive yourselves, it is good, but there are some words you will say, there are some insults you give to your partner, in as much as the person is ready to forgive. Whenever your partner hears it, it becomes like sword being pierced or pushed through the heart of a partner. And so be courteous in your discussion. When there is an increase in volume, watch out. When there is power struggles, watch out. Scorekeeping and the issue of blaming, watch out. It's important that we stay courteous. And so I want to go over these things, and I'll give the last points in this thing. We said that we should stick to the topic. We said that we should pick our battles and develop our timing. We say that we should set limits, and we said that we should remain courteous. The other thing that I want to give here is reconcile the relationship. Reconcile the relationship. It's important that through all the discussions, that before you get to the end of it, before you end the whole discussion and communication, it's important that you reconcile the relationship. You need to understand that it is the relationship that will bring you to the point where you need to communicate. And so in your communication, it is not good that you leave at a point where the relationship is not standing well. And so some of the things you can do by making sure that the relationship has been reconciled, even if you have not reached a compromise, or you've not agreed on any of the things, the realities that were brought up, it's important that you end the communication by reconciling the relationship, by forgiving, by apologizing, by emphasizing your love for your mate or your partner. Now, I want to say that reconciling is different from agreeing. Reconciling is different from agreeing. You may possibly, like I said before, will not have agreed on anything, on the realities that were presented by yourself and your mate, but it's important that you reconcile the relationship. It's important that you reconcile the relationship. And so a simple phrase like, I still love you. A simple phrase like, I'm sorry you're upset. A simple thing like, can you still please forgive me? Now, the truth of the matter is, in the heat of discussion, I won't say argument, when you're communicating and and it's a bit heated, we say that you should set limits. You should make sure that you don't go beyond those times where your volume is increasing. But then it's important that before you end the discussion or that session, you reconcile the relationship. And so I think it will save if you're able to, for example, say, can you still forgive me? Or you say by saying that I'm sorry that you're upset. Or by saying that, I still love you. Or like, you're the only person that really turns my heart around. As difficult as it may, some of these things may stick in your throat. at that time. But if you're able to master the ability to spill it out, it reconciles the relationship. And so it gives you also a path to be able to come back to what you were discussing that you had to end. So you continue from there. So I just want to go back to the Facebook and I'll read a few comments. Reverend Edward is still on and he's saying that, thank you, Pastor Ajman, for this message. God bless you, Rev. Asabwame Esla Sechi Kofi says that, amen. God bless you too, Pastor George and Pastor Joyce. I think I've read it. And Reverend Francis Kofi is watching and he says that, God bless you, Pastor Joyce, Pastor George. And so I want to end today's section by saying that we can be effective communicators even in our marriage if we acquire the right tools. And I believe this evening, the reason why I don't want really to go through a lot of points is that, and we'll be able to take our time to think upon these things that we've said and try to employ them so it helps us in communicating. Every good corporate entity employs the best communicators to be able to communicate their thoughts and their plans and their ideas to their respective audience. The reason is that good communication skills is able to help their growth in that area. And so as couples, it's important that we develop the skills to be able to communicate well to help make our marriage a success. I want to say that your contribution will determine the outcome of your marriage, whether it will be successful or not. And some of the areas that we need to look at is communication. I want to say thank you to all of you who joined this evening, for all of you who shared, for all of you who sent the messages. God bless you so much. I want to say thank you once again to the operators of the FBN, and finally to the producer of this evening's program, and last but not the least, of course, my beautiful wife, for the support. God bless you. We'll be coming your way same time next 2 weeks on the same platform. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Where the beer chai, where Subia Chasso, Nayami Bayo, the Mrenin Nana Yanati, Naran or Baye, a Dofu Payami Bayamo, I'm a winger dancing. G on the beat. Oyema Esther, Oyema Dikan Fona. Also so betting me a year. Now we miss you at any winning. What kind of rose? Dear now we war and none I know. So what to me money bound Camodia wants to so ya re mu benyankwa, ubedi ye, ubeko wenim. Now obe fra what if one be. Odofo panya me be ya mawo, mawa dance dia ye bebre. Ya me be ya mawo, obe ya mawo. For he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ever think of. Or him raining now, I'm raining now. Now you're in your penny now, yeah. Now maybe you're my woe. Now I dance it, yeah, baby. Hallelujah. Now maybe you're my woe. And to tell you, boy, you soon. Where did you try? What's your trust on a yummy bayo? Or the raining man, and not Yanina. Chain around obey Yamawo. Yummy Bayamawo. Now I dance it, yeah, baby. Oh, you're Namia on your show. Libosena, yeah, I'm Genodi. Catcher was a very bad dancer. Near new who be done in a ratty bayame. Yanto Comemotano and Una Obayamio. Or the raining Nana and not the Matreno, da. Sorry, I went to ye about what you mean. Just believe.